All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am rolling in meeting format today. I want this to be interactive. I want us to play with some different ideas, talk about what's going on. It absolutely will be recorded. It is recording on my end, so I'll be sending out a recording. This might be one of those calls that you want to listen to over and over again. Just wanted to kind of start out telling you where some of this stuff comes from for me. So I grew up going to school thinking that if you go to school, you get good grades, you get a degree, you go out into the world and you be successful. I never in a million years imagined that I would be a salesperson. I thought, maybe I have an MBA, maybe I'd be an orthodontist, maybe I'd do accounting and finance. Because in my mind, if I heard the words salesperson, that meant somebody who was cheesy or slimy or gimmicky. And that was just never who I was going to be. Okay. Maybe I've just always had a little bit of an ego about myself and my serious career. Well, you guys, I then go to college and I'm on an academic scholarship. I'm taking junior level classes and I'm seriously bored. I am looking around going, this is not my vibe. I want to go out in the world. I want to get things going. I answer an ad in the newspaper at my local college, and it said, part-time work, looking for energetic people. And then it said 1099, but with a dollar sign. So I know nothing about what I'm going into interview for, but I'm thinking I'm going to make $1,099 a month, which in 1999 seemed like a lot of money. What I didn't know is I was going to walk into a sales pitch for a network marketing opportunity. They had products on the wall. They were drawing, things on the whiteboard. And they talked about how I could go out and start my own business, control my own destiny, not be a 97%er, but be a 3%er. See, 3% of people, they go out and create their own destiny. They don't follow the beaten path of most people. They go out and they create their own destiny by being an entrepreneur. And I got really excited about these concepts because I've always felt like I'm not part of the herd. I've always felt a little bit like a rhino that is solo out there in the jungle, that's looking to charge after life, that wanted to have control over my destiny and my future. So all the things that they're talking about in this presentation really kind of speak to me. And it does help that my parents were both entrepreneurs. Right out of high school, they got involved in construction. My dad's owned a drywall stucco business for over 40 years. Then my stepfather was also in construction. So I grew up seeing my parents work extremely hard, but never really have to answer to a boss, if you will. So I jump into network marketing and I'm all excited. I'll never forget having to pick up the phone and call my dad and say, Dad, can I have $2,000 to purchase a business in the box? I don't know if any of you guys have ever done network marketing, but it's where you buy a bunch of products and now you're in business for yourself and you get to go sell the products. Well, fortunately, my dad believed in me, gave me his credit card. I invested the $2,000 and now I'm officially a salesperson. And guess what? I sucked because I have always been an intense, driven, focused athlete. I was always focused on collecting accolades for my resume because I really believed in that. If you have this beautiful resume and you're on student council and you're on the board of this and you're volunteering for that, and you're an A+ student, your life would be great. Well, guess what? In sales, no one cares. No one cares about your freaking accolades. Nobody cares about the trophies you got on the wall. Nobody cares about you. They care about how interested you are in them. And up until this point in my life, I was not really interested in others. I was interested in myself and where I was going. So at the age of 18 years old, I started going to sales trainings. I ended up dropping out of college and pursuing network marketing full-time for 4 years. And every single month, I got on a bus. In fact, I had to fill the bus. I was living in Ohio, and we would go to a sales training in Chicago. So I would stand in front of the room, I would pitch my products 7 days a week, and I would go to a sales training once a month. And I literally had to reserve this 55-passenger bus. Then I had to sell tickets on the bus for people to help pay for the cost to then go to this sales training. And hopefully they got excited and they joined. my network marketing business. And that's kind of how that went down. I share all this with you because it was the greatest college education I could have ever received, because I failed a lot and I really sucked with people. So one book that I would highly recommend to everybody that we read or reread is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book totally and completely changed my life because I started understanding human behavior and understanding that people are really what's in it for me. You guys, we just came off this election and you see that we went from this way all the way over to this way. Why? Because everybody at the end of the day is looking out for themselves. And if life isn't going well over here, well, maybe it will go well over here. And so we have to love the game, is the point. We're in a game as loan officers where we get business either direct from the consumer, through marketing and advertising, whether it's social media or networking, what have you, or through business partners like real estate agents. The reality is that they're all human beings. So the more we can study how people function, how they think, both consciously and unconsciously, the better we're going to do in business. And so the reason I chose, because listen, if I host a free training that's open to the whole industry once a month, I could teach on anything. I could teach on building a team, on processes, on mindset, on money management. But the reason I've chosen to focus on sales skills is because at the end of the day, sales is about influencing people. We got to get people from where they're at here to move and be over here, whether that's a customer and we're trying to get them to lock a loan, or where it's a customer and we're trying to get them into our office for a pre-approval meeting, whether that's a customer and we need them to go get that bankruptcy document or whatever. We are in the business of influencing people. And as I've been saying all year, if we want to be successful in this market, we have to fall in love with hunting. We got to wake up in the morning and say, I am a hunter. What am I going to go kill today? Because we only eat with what we kill. And second, I am a leader, not a helper. I'm a leader, not a helper. The more that you can put on the hat of like, I own the responsibility of being a leader and I'm going to guide people to what's good for them. Not what's good for me, but what's good for them. And it's a true win-win. You're going to be wildly successful. And I will tell you, over the last 10 years in the mortgage environment, we have not really had to be hunters. We have not really had to be leaders because there was so much volume floating through the system that we could be just really good at sitting behind our desks and, filleting up the fish, if you will. We didn't necessarily have to be the most skilled fisherman with the right tack and the right script and the right gear and the right fishing holes with a lot of fishing lines in the water. So if you come to this call and you feel a little bit discouraged or you feel burnt out or you're telling yourself a story of like, this is so hard. Realtors aren't loyal. No customers treat me like a commodity. You have two options. A, get out of the business because the game is the game and people are people. And no matter what, that is just not going to change. So you can either stay grumpy and stuck or get out, or you can change your mentality overnight and go, you know what? I'm going to treat this like a game. Every single conversation is an opportunity to get that much better. Every meeting is an opportunity for me to get that much better. And how do I measure my effectiveness, not my efficiency? See, this is a big, huge point that I want to get out of today's call. My number one goal of today's call is it's not about being efficient. It's about being effective. So for years, I used to coach at the core, and we have this thing called the Greatness Tracker. Today, I'm coaching and leading off of my own planner, the Catalyst Planner. And in the planner, we track how many calls and how many meetings. And what I can tell you over the years, I've coached hundreds of loan officers, and the ones that put up the most quantity and efficiency are not always the ones that make the most money. In fact, I have never put up the most quantity, but I have this mentality of I do not want to waste time. So if I'm going to be in this coffee appointment, or I'm going to be on this phone call, or I'm going to be in this loan application, I'm going to do it all the way to the point of it's effective. I'm going to get the desired outcome. Otherwise, I'm just wasting time. I'm just going through the motions, and going through the motions is not going to change our results. So today I want to talk about building rapport and closing. Thank you for letting me do that long warm up. I see some of my friends here. Thanks for getting your cameras on. Sorry, I bumped you guys out of webinar. You don't get to just come be entertained. I like to see you. So put in the chat real quick, what do you want to get out of today's call? Where do you feel like your growth edge needs to be in your sales mastery of being an influential, attractive leader? An influential, attractive leader. What do we think that is? Well, thank you for the claps. Jeff, I never sold Amway detergent, but I have heard it is amazing, actually. Tanya May started her sales career in Cutco. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, so many good Cutco people. All right. Giving value, a call to action, feeling a little stuck on coming up with new conversations. Okay, so Allison, I'm going to pull you off mute really quick.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for that. So tell me where you feel stuck.
I feel like in this day of social media, when we have a conversation about something, maybe everyone always did have the same conversation, but it's really obvious that everyone's talking about the same thing. So then it makes me feel a little stuck to call my agents and repeat what I've already seen 100 people post about, or I'll say something and then I see everybody copy it. And then I feel dumb to call and have the same conversation that they've probably heard from 5 other lenders.
Okay, so stop looking at social media. Because you're looking at it with a different eye, Allison. You're a competitor. You're paying attention to what your competitors are writing. Your consumer is just going like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are assuming that they've absorbed it, they've processed it, they've integrated it into their world, they've thought about what it means for them, they're creating a strategy from it. Are you crazy? They're like, next, where's the new baby I can look at? Where's the next puppy I can look at? Does that make sense?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Who cares about that? Remember that the reason people do business with us is because they feel like we care about them. That's it, right? Like, I hope that you feel working for me, like when I respond to you or we engage, that you're like, Shayla cares about me. Do I think I've got to come up with some fresh, new, crazy idea every time I talk to you? Otherwise, there's no value in our relationship?
No.
Okay, that would kill me because I'd be like, I'm not that creative. The people that really, if you think about the people who get on stages, Allison, and become wildly famous, they actually say the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. Right? So what are the things that you're obsessed about? You're obsessed about the client experience. You're obsessed about getting the result with the least amount of time and effort. You're obsessed about effectiveness. Those are the things that you can be talking about forever because it is genuine to you.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring to that other person.
Yeah. It's funny how much our confidence plays a role in things. When we have a big month, I feel like I could call any person in town and I'm completely fearless and I've got it all. And then I'm sleep deprived and we're having a bad month. And I'm like, who would want to talk to me? I shouldn't call anybody. Overnight. Tomorrow I'll get a good night's sleep and I'll be a completely different person too. It's just crazy how much your confidence plays into things.
Okay. Raise your hand if you can relate to what Allison just said, that your confidence plays into like, why do we let that happen? Right? Like, I mean, this is just, again, human behavior. You guys, yesterday I was sick and got progressively worse all day. Today I woke up and I'm getting progressively better. But I was like seriously depressed this morning. Like, I'm like, my friends suck. My life sucks. My daughter sucks. My business sucks. This election sucks. This economy sucks. And I literally was like, I should not, there's a couple big calls I need to make. Maybe I shouldn't make those today. And you know what I did? I had to figure out how to change my state because it is an energy exchange. So either A, don't make the calls, and you're right, just get a good damn night of sleep or a whole weekend. Sometimes we just need to shut it down for a weekend. We need to do nothing but lay on the couch. We need to totally rejuvenate ourselves. It's 100%. We need to go like into a positivity bubble and slow it way down. And then by Monday, you're like, oh, I'm back again, right? Sometimes the answer is not beating ourselves up, but sometimes the answer is get your state changed, just like Tony Robbins would have us do, where we go, yes, we're jumping up and down and we're listening to music and we're shaking out, we're laughing at ourselves so that we can have fun and play loose. The sales calls that are the most effective are when we come across as ease and joy and fun and goofy and playful and flirty. Like, because it's a dance, it's a relationship. How do we make people feel when they're with us? So the first tip I want to give you guys today, other than I've probably given you a couple so far, and I'd love to make sure you're taking these takeaways, is the perfect outcome. Before you go into something, like before I got on this call with you today, I literally said, what is the ideal outcome for this group? How do I want them to feel by spending 45 minutes with me? What do I want them to get out of this time? Where do I want this to go? So if you're sitting in your car and you're about to go into a coffee appointment, or Jason, you're walking into one of your builder offices, or Katie, you're going to sit at a weekend open house for like literally 5 hours at the builder and maybe see 2 human beings. How do we make it effective? Right? It's not efficient, it's effective. So sometimes that means that we had one really quality conversation with somebody, like we really went there with somebody. And that one conversation could be the equivalent of a tiny couple little touches all the way through. Katie, come off mute because we had this conversation. Oh, and you're eating a pretzel or something, aren't you? Tell these guys the story about going to the builder open house, the change in your attitude and what you did and the result afterwards.
It was exactly this. I had to sit at a builder community Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every 3 weeks, and get absolutely zero business from them for 6 full months. And I went in with the intention of saying, hey, if I'm going to be here and I'm going to see minimal bodies because it's 75-mile-per-hour winds outside and 12 degrees, how do I make this beneficial? And so I treated it like 4 days of being close with girlfriends. I talked about our husbands and our life and the things we were going through, and we were just more playful and less focused about work. And I used the time to be really effective, and it just made it more fun. And in the matter of 4 days, we pulled 5 deals out of it for the first time in 6 months.
And that was a mindset shift. Mm-hmm. That went from, I'm going to go sit out there and I'm going to get a lot of work done because I'm not going to talk to anybody and I'm going to like catch up on stuff too. No, if I'm going to be with other human beings, I'm going to lean all the way in. I'm going to share my heart. I'm going to get vulnerable. I'm going to ask. I'm going to be really interested in them. Remember, again, people want to know that you care about them, like genuinely that you care. And that'll take the pressure off because you don't have to have the perfect thing to say or the latest and greatest like value add nugget. I think somebody here said, I need Tanya, it's about giving value. Honestly, it's about asking really good questions that help them clarify what they need. And sometimes that's enough value. Doesn't mean that you have to have the answer. Sometimes it's just a person to talk to like clarify where they're at. Jeff, Scott, you said a call to action. Let's come off mute. I want to hear what you mean by that. You there, Jeff? Oh, your microphone's not working, bud. Check, 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 check. Okay. Sorry, Jeff. I could see you're working on it. If it works, just keep hollering and you can interrupt me. Kayla, you said I need to bet on myself. I know that I can do it. What do you mean by that, girl? Kayla McLaughlin.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Hey.
What I meant by that is I have worked for Guild under Brett and done different things like insurance, have my mortgage license. And I'm at the point now where I really feel like I should start my own business and with all the knowledge that I have. And it's just so crazy how the universe works in these synchronicities. Just hearing this because I know I can do it, like going over with my mentor, like I know business so well. It's just you, like you said, you're responsible for it. It's me. I have no one to fall back on, which life's already taught me that through the last year. And but yeah, it's just that fear. But I don't want to have the fear. I want to have the love and I want to the care for people. Like everything you've said is exactly my mindset. So it's super exciting. It's just taking the steps is a little bit frightening, but everything has worked out and everything's come full circle. And what I'd go into, I could use my mortgage knowledge, I can use my insurance knowledge. It's just being on calls like this and, putting myself out there. So
How many of you guys raise your hand can relate to Kayla? Thank you for sharing that.
thank you.
People are like, I don't know that I want to share in Shayla's calls anymore because she might have me come up. You know what? Here's the deal. Betting on someone else is a lot of risk. You're risking your livelihood on someone else's drive, motivation, hunger, willingness to learn, grow, and adapt. I would rather take that bet on myself all day long. 100 out of 100. Now, you know yourself better than anybody. The market is the only thing we cannot control, right? And yes, we could go out and meet 10 people in a row and all 10 of them are going to be frozen and stuck and we can't control whether or not they move. But the goal of today is to work on things you can control, which is your skill set and the way that you approach the conversation and the opportunities that we create in our life. Okay. When I say you've got to be a hunter, as a salesperson, you got to wake up in the morning and go, what am I going to go hunt? What can I go kill today? It's really what opportunity can I create for myself? Because you guys, abundance is everywhere. Whether you're a loan officer or a real estate agent, I guarantee there's hundreds of transactions happening in our respective marketplaces, hundreds. We only need a small handful of those. So there's really opportunity everywhere. It's whether or not we are living in self-protection mode, being afraid, not opening our mouth, not asking that extra question, not getting uncomfortable, or we're in go mode where we're like, you know what? I'm not going to waste time. If I'm on this call, I'm going to stay on the call until we get somewhere. If I'm in person, if I'm at a happy hour, I'm going to stay in this conversation until we get somewhere meaningful, until I've had a heart-to-heart connection, something before I bounce off to the next one, just to check another box. Okay. So here's where I want you to take a couple notes and then I could come back to get more feedback. There's 4 parts to every sale. Okay. 4 parts to a sale. The first one is initial contact. The second is building rapport. The third is close for the business, close for the next step. And the fourth is follow-up. So listen, we could spend hours on each step. Today, I want to focus on the 2, building rapport and closing. Now, I put a poll out there on Instagram and it rang true every time I've asked this poll. Which skill do you feel stronger at? 80 to 90% every single time salespeople say they're good at building rapport. I hear all the time with my loan officers, if I could just get them in front of me, things go really well. Okay, the question is, do you work hard to close and get people face to face with you? Do you work hard to get people to show up to your event, to show up to your training, to show up to your client party? That's like, you've got to figure out how to win, get them in your arena. If you're a buyer's agent, do you get them to a VIP buyer's presentation? And that's raising and promoting, raising the value of getting somebody to show up somewhere. So, but let's talk about building rapport. Because I think a lot of people say, yeah, I'm good at building rapport. Like, people like me. If you're building rapport well, in my mind, number one, you're creating deep trust with somebody. Number two, you're creating authority because you're guiding that process. So Galen will often tease me because when I meet new people, I will ask like 100 questions, and by like question number 90, he's like, geez, are you going to give him a break? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm so fascinated by this person. Like, I just really want to know about who they are and what they do and the essence of who they are and why they're wired the way they are and what motivates them the way they are. People will never forget how you made them feel. And it's in building rapport where you have that opportunity. In relationships, fast equals slow. So here's what I mean. If you meet a new business partner tomorrow and you meet at a networking event or a BNI breakfast or at an open house, and you have a 3-minute conversation and it was good, we liked each other, great 3 minutes, it'll take a long time for that to become a real relationship. So you go fast up front, it's slow to progress. If you go long up front, you go slow, you will build a deep relationship, a meaningful relationship, a real relationship fast. And I know we all have instances in our life where we've met somebody over the course of a dinner or at a wedding or something where you have a 2-3 hour conversation or hangout and you're like, wow, I know this person better than some of my friends I've known for a decade, right? So again, about being effective in building rapport is not just skimming through it, not just saying, oh, are we vibing? Where I find people struggle with building true rapport is that they're thinking about themselves the whole time. They're thinking about, oh, what should I say next? Do they like me? Is this going well? They're trying to read all the cues. What I want you to do when you're building rapport is stop all of that and just completely tune into the other person. I want you to listen. I want you to observe. I want you to validate. I want you to keep digging in. So here's Renee Rodriguez's formula from Amplify. Write it down. LOVE. Okay. Love. L is for listen. And truly listen. Like, are we really listening to what they're saying? Are we listening for the context? Are we paying attention to the tonality? Are we listening to, the temperature of what's being said, right? O is observe. So it's all those things I just said, plus body language. V is validate. And E is expand. So this is really fun when we get to do this in person. But maybe I can try to do this just with you guys really quick. Mika and David and Jason, can I pick on you three? Yay, this is so fun. I didn't prepare you guys. So Mika, I already know you, so I'm going to put you third in line. And Jason, I know you too. So David, hello, nice to meet you. David Nelson. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a little bit of rapport with David. Okay. And I'm going to go, most of you probably know the Ford conversation, FORD. This changed my life when I learned this because I didn't understand people when I started in sales. So I needed a formula. F stands for family. O stands for occupation. R stands for recreation. D stands for dreams. Okay. So let me show you how a lot of people would build rapport with Ford. And David, we've never met before, right?
Correct.
Okay. This is amazing. All right. Okay, so David, so nice to meet you. Where are you from originally?
I am from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Born and raised?
Yes.
Okay, do you live in Salt Lake now?
I am, yes.
Okay. What do you do for work?
I am I'm a mortgage advisor.
Oh, you're a loan officer, right on. How long have you been doing that?
Been doing it for 17 years.
Okay, cool. What do you do for fun?
I'm a dog travert. I love my dogs. I don't really like to socialize with other people. I just love hanging out with my dogs. I love to barbecue. I love sports, and just hanging out with my wife as well.
Oh my gosh, me too. I love my dog. I can't wait for you to meet Bean. I have the best dog in the world. Okay, and what do you want to do? Like, what are your dreams? Like, so what's something you're really excited about? You got a bucket list?
I've always wanted to travel. You know, I follow you on social media. I see a lot of your adventures, and it makes me think of, you know, you're creating all these kinds of memories, and that's my bucket list, is just creating memories. It's not about how many hours I work, how many units I close. It's more about I want to create memories with my wife and with the rest of my family, and so that's my bucket list. It's just creating memories and traveling. It doesn't have to be you know, in the Bahamas. It doesn't have to be anywhere exotic. I just want to be able to experience life and create memories.
Okay. Now, I was trying to give you guys a semi-poor example of building rapport, and I would say that was probably like a B minus. Okay. And I'll tell you why it was a B minus. Because I just can't help myself. Like right away, I gave him a ton of energy about where he was from. And I asked him like 2 or 3 questions. I meant to just ask him one and skip to the next, because a lot of times that's what people do. They kind of, you feel like you're kind of hit and run, like somebody's checking off the list. The other thing that I did not do well is when he said he has his dogs, I shine the light back on me. How often when we're building a rapport do we say, me too? Oh my gosh, you like to travel? Me too. Oh, you've been there? Oh, let me tell you about my trip to Italy or whatever, right? And what does that do is it takes the light off and shines on me. But the reason I would give it a B minus still, which is pretty decent, is because I was willing to ask the vulnerable question about dreams. And really, it wasn't me that made it a B, it was David. It was his willingness to actually give a real heartfelt answer. But what I will tell you guys is if you move too fast with people and you have not built the trust, you won't get anywhere meaningful. They will stay surface because you're staying surface. Okay. So David was more generous than most would be. And that's probably because of how this, because you're wanting to be here or participating. But I can tell you, I've met a lot of people that just ask the very basics and it doesn't really bring it. So, I'm going to do it one more time with David, and then Mika, he's going to answer the question, and then you're going to ask him a question. And the goal is we're going to stay on just occupation. Okay. We're going to just stay on O. And the goal would be, and I saw Mika doing this while she was watching. She's going to listen. She was making eye contact. She was observing. So she was paying attention. She was, I didn't have her off speaker, but she was like nodding her head and smiling. Okay. How do people know you're actually paying attention unless you're like giving some sort of cues, right? So a validation would be something like, oh, right on. Really nice. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see what I'm saying? A lot of times that is missed. There's no validation to what somebody said. And then the last one is expand. So that would be Mika ask another question that is relevant. And then David will respond, and Jason, it'll go to you. Okay. And you'll ask him another question and you're going to challenge on the love. Okay. So David, you said you've been a loan officer for 17 years. What made you decide to be a loan officer?
So I was working in a call center. I was actually an escalation supervisor working at DirecTV. So a lot of times I was taking nasty phone calls, and my girlfriend's mom, my mother-in-law now, but my girlfriend's mom was a realtor for Prudential. And she says, you sound great on the phones. Why don't you get into mortgages? And I had no clue. I hadn't bought a home. I had no clue about mortgages. And then my mother-in-law knew the CEO of a local company here in Salt Lake City, Citywide Home Loans. And so I got introduced to the CEO. And then there happened to be some dude sitting in the office of the CEO. Come to find out, and you know this guy, Josh Metal. That was Josh Metal, and he actually took me under his wing. His LOA quit a month later. I became his LOA for 5 years, and then he let me originate, and I'm still on his team to today.
Mika?
What a great story, David, to have. I mean, that's really about being in the right place at the right time, right?
Absolutely. It's crazy how life happens, and you look back, and it's pretty wild how things all come together.
You go back and talk to them and tell them that story.
We didn't hear that right. Say it again, Mika.
I said, do you go back and tell them about that story?
Like,
Tell
are
who?
Hear me?
you asking me, or are you asking Shayla?
No, I'm asking you, David. Do you
Oh,
go back
yeah,
and tell
absolutely.
them that story and kind of
Yeah,
reminisce about that with them?
I love telling that story, because it's, everybody's got a unique story too of how they got into the business. So I love explaining how I got into it. I wasn't looking to be a loan officer. It just happened, by circumstance. It just happened to fall upon my lap, and fortunately I had the right connections.
Did you ever
Jason.
think that you would actually be a loan officer?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I was working in call centers. I didn't really have a direction. I previously, before that, I was a co-owner of a company that we would sell high-end rims on cars and get contracts with local tire companies and car dealerships. And so I owned my own company selling car rims. And so going from car rims to writing mortgages, I mean, that's, kind of big time different end of the spectrum. So yeah, and I never owned a house before. I didn't know how to spell mortgage. But, luckily my mother-in-law was in the business, and, just here we are today.
All right, Jason, you're up.
So obviously going on to Josh's team, who's an icon in the industry. Doing that, what was your biggest takeaways from being under Josh, and how did he help you get to the next level that you're at now in your career?
Great question, Jason, because when I came on with him, I knew nothing. And Josh was so kind and so patient with me. In fact, I remember about a month into things, I had no clue. Back then we were doing loan applications. A lot of times I was trying to figure out how to do it on paper. And so my very first open house that I went to with my mother-in-law, he actually showed up to the open house. It was vacant. And so him and I sat on the kitchen floor, and he walked me through line by line on the 1003. And that's the type of guy that he is. And then, of course, he was the top producer at this company for a while. And so being his LOA, I had to learn very quickly how to be detailed, how to be analytical. And so he would just throw me a cover letter with a couple of notes, and I had to figure it out from there. And then there was an opportunity to where I could be a loan officer on the team, and he would give me all of his B and C realtors that he always thought were a pain in the ass to deal with. And he gave me his past client database to mine. And I just took the bull by the horns, and yeah, I'm still cranking it out with him.
Love it.
Okay, so we're going to move to the next segment. David, thank you for getting picked on. Mika and Jason, awesome job. I want you to really take this with you over the next week and work to build rapport with any single person you meet, okay? Like, actually kick up a conversation with your waitress, with your Starbucks person, with the person at the gas station. Like, have fun with this. Start getting back into the dance of, like, I'm in sales and I'm practicing on people, and can I move people? Can I change their state? If they started out kind of like this, can I get them to this? What can you do? Play with other human beings. I promise you, if you love the game, you will have fun with the game. When I am asking questions, I'm really trying to understand the essence of somebody. What I got out of David is that he is super grateful. He always keeps going back to how patient and kind he is. I'm getting a sense for his values. Like, what does David really care about? What matters to David? Am I right when I say that, David, that's what you really care about? People that are generous with their time, that are kind and patient, that give you a shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's when I say listening, those are the kinds of things that I'm listening for, is that I really want to know this person, and because everybody's so different, what matters to them, and what is their character, and what, at the end of the day, what stands for them. I think this matters a lot when you're hiring people, when you're choosing to partner with people. If you listen to certain things, there might not be a character match right up front, and yet you're getting frustrated later on why things are rough and rocky. Whereas if you just really built rapport at the front end and said, I am here just as much to figure out if I like them as they are if they like me. And it's the same thing with every client. Just because there's a client in my office doesn't mean it's a client I want to serve and work for, yes or no. So I'm here trying to figure out, is this a client I want to invest my time into? But I have to dig and be, it's an art and a dance to go there. So if I do an hour-long coffee meeting with somebody, I will usually build rapport for 45 minutes. Okay. Like seriously, because I want to go somewhere. What this has also helped me do is not have to call somebody over and over and over again, or they forget about me. It makes your social media go farther. It makes your email marketing or email updates go farther. It makes your text messages go farther because you built something real up front. People feel like you see them, you get them, you know them, and you really care about them. What I notice is a lot of loan officers I've coached that are kind of on that likable friend, very surface level, is that they have to, if they miss calling somebody for a week or 2 weeks, that person is gone. They've forgotten about them. They're out of sight, out of mind. I don't know about you guys, but that just, I can't deal that way. Like I want to really go somewhere with somebody. And then if I see you in 6 months or 6 years, we still have that kind of bond and connection. So that's why I work the way I work. And I bought into this. So the close, a big part of this, you guys, is just being bold. Just be bold, but you can do it in a very playful way. It doesn't have to come out like your claws are coming out of your, you're the Terminator and you're like, ah. It could feel like really fun, but you've got to drive a result. Okay. So what I mean by that is that, if you've heard of ABC, always be closing. If you sat and thought, what is the ideal outcome of this meeting? Then you need to make sure you drive to the outcome. Unless during the building the rapport phase, you've lost interest. Like this is no longer somebody that you want to pursue, then don't close. The best close is no close. Okay. There's definitely meetings where I've gotten to the end of rapport building and some people will be like, do you end it in 10 minutes? No, I usually really I give people a huge benefit of the doubt because I know that we're all insecure. I know that we're all distracted and I know that our lives are really busy. I know that heavy stuff is happening for people. So I'm really giving people the benefit of the doubt of I want to know who you are at your core and who you really, really are, not who you're pretending to be, not what layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3 is. I want to know that real you on the inside. Now, even if I've given you a ton of grace and you've been kind of negative and sarcastic and you're exposing characteristics that I do not want in my life, because by the way, if you become great at prospecting, you become a great rainmaker, you do not have to work with anyone that you do not enjoy working with. When you are not a good hunter or a good rainmaker, you will just take anything that you can get. And then you wonder why you're kind of burnt out and you don't like the people and you're like, oh, do I have to call this person? Right? Now, I might be motivated at level 10 and somebody next to me is motivated at a level 4 and we're not quite a match. I might want to go out and do $100 million in volume and this person's trying to do 3 deals this year. I can still respect them and their goals for what they're looking to do and find a way to say, hell yes, I'm going to sponsor those goals. I am all in on what you want to do. I don't need to find super freaks just like me. Okay. Occasionally you will find them, but a lot of people struggle that they only want to find people that are exactly like them. Good luck. I want people that are a character match. They care about treating people well. They care about kindness and respect and appreciation. They care about improvement and growth and taking ownership. They're not blamers. There's some things that are a hard no, but relative to where they're at and what they're trying to pursue, I'm not going to judge that person's goals and what they want to do. I know I've hit my time. So what I want to say about closing is, say I'm meeting with Kenya And I came to this meeting and I'm going, you know what? I'm really looking for 15 new relationships to go into 2025 with. 15 people that I can go all out for, that I will bring my heart and soul into the clients. I will be, you got to think about when you say add value, like if Kenya's going to refer me deals, I'm going to say, look, I'm going to get on the phone with that client within 4 hours. My goal is to always respond within an hour. If you joint text me, I'm going to be Johnny on the spot. But Kenya, what I really feel is my higher purpose to serve you is I need to sell the heck out of you, because I didn't realize for so long in my career that, customers, when they go online, they all of a sudden have 15 different realtors calling them and contacting them. And it's really hard for you to stand out. So it's my role and responsibility to get them in my office, to really get them dialed in with a plan, but to sell the heck out of you. Because if I can edify you and tell them how lucky they are to work with you, the likelihood that you and I are going to convert them together is going to be a lot higher. And so I'm looking for 15 great relationships that I can go all in for in 2025. I loved what you said about blah, 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 blah. Now, some of the things that you talked about, being frustrated with other lenders, I've definitely heard this before, and I built my business around making sure that those aren't things that happen. So if you're as open as I am, or if you felt like this went well, like I did, would you be willing to meet again to talk about the game plan of XYZ? Okay, that's called a 2-step close. You're finding out all the problems that are going on. What do you like about the lender you work with? What don't you like? If you could be a lender for a day, what would you change? What are some of the frustrations you've had in the past around lenders? Tell me your process about when you get your leads and how you follow up with them. How do you track your leads? How many leads a month are you trying to get? How many buyers versus sellers are you getting? So during that rapport building, I'm asking a lot of questions about their business. And obviously, if they only deal with 4 buyers a year and it's all coming from Sphere business, that's different than if they're getting 100 internet leads a month and they're spending an hour, 2 hours a day working in their pond. Their needs are going to be different. The other thing is what their strengths are. I'm going to figure out how I can complement. So you got to go into the meeting knowing that you are the best person for the job. You've got to believe that. So Allison, you opened up early on the call saying, I can make the calls if I feel confident. What you always have to derive your confidence from is your character. What is your character? When stuff gets tough, when things go wrong, do you hide under your desk or do you pick up the phone? When there's an obvious problem, are you honest and communicate it, or do you kind of shove it to the side and not deal with it? Do you genuinely care for the people you work with and go and do whatever it takes to help them? Like, these are character qualities that when all things fall apart, that is who you are. And if you don't believe in your character, that's going to be a problem. Okay, because at the end of the day, people can feel your confidence in the sense that I know I'm going to care the most for this job and I really want the job. Eagerness is the other thing. People can tell if you're on your toes. I see people in meetings, you guys, and they'll be leaning back like this. This is not an eager salesperson. I'll start out like this. By the end of the meeting, I'm leaned in and I'm shaking my head. Like, they need to feel that you want it and that you're eager. This I'm too cool stuff is not going to work, right? So open your heart and literally lay it on the table and say, hey, I have really enjoyed meeting you. I know you've got hundreds of options, and every time you refer somebody, you put your entire reputation on the line. I can assure you that I will take that seriously. I know that this one lead that you're going to refer me could potentially be a $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 commission for you. I'm going to take care of your business. Do you feel like I'm the right person? Can I be your loan officer? Will you give me a chance? Are you open-minded to meet with me again? I mean, you decide which one you want to go for, depending on where the conversation led you to. But they got to feel that kind of intensity of like, I want it. I'm eager. I know I'm going to do a great job for you. Please give me a chance. Okay. If you're worried about sounding desperate, fuck it. Okay. Like we don't, who cares? Who cares? Are you like, I promise you, they're going to be like, that was the most engaged meeting I've had in a long time. They asked me a bazillion questions about me. They probably took notes. They proposed solutions. I really like them because they were really, really interested in me. And of course, if you've liked somebody and you've invested that much time, if somebody's already come to your office, they intend to work with you unless you screw it up. If somebody has come to a coffee meeting, they intend to work with you unless you screw it up. There's very few people that just go have coffee meetings and go visit businesses and offices just for fun because they're trying to like waste time. So you got to get out of your head, lean into the person and be really, really interested in them. And that's how it's going to be. I promised you guys 45 minutes. I've gone long, but I do have a few more minutes if anybody wants to come off mute and ask a question. Otherwise, for all of you who are here today, thank you for taking your time. Put your biggest takeaway in the chat as you log off. The word is Ford, Ron, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Does anybody want to come off chat where you can, yes, Jessica, it was recorded. We can send that out.
Shayla,
Tanya.
Oh.
what was the 4 things that you mentioned were like opening, building rapport, closing, and then like I was feverishly writing down. I was like, ah.
4 parts to the sale. 4 parts of the sale. First is initial contact. Second, build rapport. Third, close. Fourth, follow up.
That's what I thought.
Thank you, Angeles. I have my retreat next week, you guys. I see some realtors from Reno on this call too. My retreat is in Reno, Nevada. It's a day and a half. It's going to be mind-blowing. I've just been looking at everybody's slide presentations. These guys have been working their butt off to like, it's an A+ stage. It's going to be really, really cool. Kayla, you're off mute. Did you have a question?
Oh, not really a question. I just wanted to thank you so much because everything you said, like I just do that in my everyday life. I really like to know people and like figure out like what makes them tick. And so you just, I don't know, that was just awesome. Thank you so much. Like it made me feel like, yeah, I got it. Tony Robbins, right?
Well, I
So
will
thank
tell you
you.
that this is the problem of most salespeople is you guys don't think what you do is very important or very good. That's your problem. And it was mine too, by the way. My first 6 years of my career, I never left my office. I never taught a class and I never went to coffee appointments. I literally believed if I was super fast and really reliable and got back to people
Right.
with this efficiency, that they would keep using me. And they did. And I got business from being really good at being a loan officer. But it was when I actually said, I need to build partnerships. I need to go out and find out how can I help Jason make more money? What does he need? What does his business look like? How can I plug in as part of his team? And now Jason can count on me to help him save 3 things: time, money, or stress. I'm going to help with your time, your money, and your stress. And if I can do that, that's real value, right? There's a before and after working with me that I save you time or stress or make you more money. Yay, Angeles, I'm so happy you're coming. Align with intention before action. Yes, Kristen. Decide like, what do I want? See, being bold is actually knowing what you want and asking for it. Roberto, I could say, can I be bold right now? I see your name all the time. I loved your energy on this call today. I would really, really love to schedule a one-on-one with you to get to know you better. Would you be willing to do that?
100%. Let's go.
Do you guys see how I was just bold? I said, what do I want? I said, would you be open-minded to? Okay. I'll text you my number so I can get you my link, Roberto.
Let's do it.
All right. Who else? Do I have one other that wants to come off mute and ask a question? or positivity. You could share the love around. I like that.
Shayla,
Jason says you could feel his energy. Yes, Jason.
one question I had, Shayla, can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Yeah.
So in line with the, building rapport, and I was like you, I didn't leave my office for so many years, and then I kind of started getting out. I mean, I have countless agents that I've met with for coffee and or lunch. 50% of those meetings never transpired into any business. So I don't know if there wasn't a connection there, on their part, followed up a few times. Is that something you would go back and maybe revisit some of those? Like, hey, we went to
Oh
lunch.
yeah, the people I really like.
Yeah.
I mean, if I really like you, I'm staying on your ass. Yes or no, guys? Like, you don't need a lot of partners. You need people you really like.
Yeah.
So if it was kind of a meh meeting and it didn't really go anywhere, no, I'm not going to be like I want that business, right? Like, no, I'm not doing it. But if I really like the meeting and it was probably just timing, I'm not going to take it personally if at all. I will have that pep talk with myself and say, look, how many times does somebody text you and you're at a stoplight and you see it, and then you forget to text them back? As salespeople, we think, oh, they didn't like me, I bothered them, and we don't follow up. But how many times do we not check our voicemail for a week? Like, it's just super common. So we just can't take it personally. The best meetings are you meet with somebody, they're super frustrated, they're open-minded, they love you, and within 48 hours, you've already got a client or two to work on, and then they get to see how you work and how they work, and like, life is great. But that's all the stars and moons aligning. Just like Katie had to go out to that builder for 6 months. It was partly probably Katie and how she was showing up. Okay, she has to own part of that. And it was partly 75-mile-an-hour winds and no freaking buyers. And yet she was like, there's opportunity here, and I'm staying in the game, and I'm going to get pissed off, and I'm going to find a way to turn this into an effective relationship. And that is the follow-up part. It's the persistence, it's the staying in there that we often don't do. So find those people you really like, grab a hold of them, get your claws into them, and just love on them. Does it mean they need to follow up every single week? Probably not. Depending on what their goals are, maybe it's every 3 weeks. Maybe it's once on social this week, once on the phone next week, but like, you can keep people for life if you really like them, and the opportunity will come back. All right, last question. David, you got your hand raised, buddy.
Yeah, so I have no problem building rapport and connection with a client, but often what I find myself doing is I get kind of stuck in the friend zone, and then I get off the call and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to ask where his down payment's coming from. And so how do you create that balance to where you're building that rapport, building that connection, but also diving into the business aspect of it and making sure you're being curious, not only with them personally, but on with them from a mortgage side, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, you've got to be guided in your questions. Like, I'm here because I really care about you, but the whole time I care about you to see if I can help you, if I can guide you, right? Because I'm not here to just like, make a friend I'm never going to see again. I'm here like, I don't want to waste your time either, right? So David, I'm spending time on this call to find out what your goals, dreams, and fears and hopes are. And I want to know a backstory about you that tells me a lot about your character and your values and the essence of who you are. But all the while, I have authority. I'm guiding the conversation to, you have a goal, and this is what I want to get accomplished. So that's just a little bit of a discipline to pay attention to the clock, pay attention to your cadence. This is what I said at the very beginning of the call. Love the game of being a salesperson, because it is not that easy. It's why salespeople are the highest paid profession in the nation. This is what finally got me very proud to say I'm a salesperson, because it's intricate. It's challenging. It's not easy to have this art and science mix going together. So David, every time you get out of a meeting, you need to rate the meeting. How was it? Like, was I on point? Was I really focused? Did I listen? Did I uncover some real stuff, or was I kind of on the surface? I mean, we can have a really good sense of how we did. So really giving that self-awareness and, rating the meeting, the next time you're like, dang it, I forgot that. I got to add that in, put it on a checklist, whatever tricks help you get through it.
That's great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Oh, I kept you guys a whole hour. Thank you for being on the October sales call. I know some of you are in Catalyst with me and I get to see you quite often. It just makes me just love you guys so much. Mika, thank you for being on. I'll see you at the retreat next week. Tanya, I'll see you. Roberto, text me. Jason Woe, praying for you this weekend, buddy. Hope to see you. And now Bill Gaylord's coming on. We did have some people thinking the call was at 1. So see you all. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.